from the Don and Lorena Meyer studio at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln College of Journalism and Mass Communications, this is Nebraska Nightly.
Welcome to this Nebraska Nightly Update. I'm Logan Witten. The Supreme Court made its decision on whether to revisit the legalization of same-sex marriage. But first, the government shutdown is officially on its 41st day, and there is finally some progress to suggest we are nearing the end. That's our top story. The United States Senate voted to end the shutdown today. Senate Majority Leader John Thune discussed the vote.
I'm glad to be able to say that 8 Democrats joined Republicans last night to take the first step to reopen the government. And in the very near future, we will be voting on a final package, a clean continuing resolution until January the 30th, and 3 bipartisan full-year appropriations bills. We will be voting on the final package in the very near future, and I'm hoping that will be hours and not days.
House Speaker Mike Johnson called for members of the House to start traveling back to Washington, D.C. to begin voting on the shutdown as soon as possible. This is an attempt to break the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. To end the shutdown, the House needs to pass any deal that survives the Senate vote, and President Donald Trump would have it signed into law. The U.S. Supreme Court turned down a chance to overturn its precedent that recognizes a constitutional right to same-sex marriage. This decision threw out an appeal that had upset LGBTQ supporters who feared the High Court might revisit the decade-old ruling and potentially change it. The appeal denied by the justices was from Kim Davis, the former Kentucky County Clerk who refused to issue marriage licenses after the 2015 ruling. She is facing hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and damages for not issuing those licenses. The court didn't explain the reasoning behind its decision. On Sunday, a federal appeals court ruled the Trump administration must pay full food stamp benefits for tens of millions of Americans in November. It's the latest ruling in the administration's effort to provide only partial funding for food stamps, formerly called the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. On Thursday, a U.S. district judge ordered that funding for full November SNAP benefits be released by the end of Friday. On Friday, the administration pressed the appeals court to scrap that order. When the appeals court declined, the administration asked the Supreme Court to intervene. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson agreed to temporarily pause the order, but Sunday's appeals court ruled now tees up for another round of legal wrangling before the Supreme Court. Millions of Americans are estimated to experience seasonal affective disorder, according to the National Institutes of Health. It's a type of depression that happens during specific seasons, often in fall and winter. While it's common, many may not know that they have it. In today's Health Minute, Mandy Gaither has signs of this disorder and ways to overcome the symptoms.
The leaves are falling and the days are shorter. If this darker season has you feeling down, you're not alone.
Seasonal affective disorder is really just a feature of a major mood disorder like depression.
Clinical psychologist Craig Sawchuk with Mayo Clinic says symptoms of seasonal affective disorder come and go with a change in seasons and can include feeling sad, sometimes described as feeling blah. Limbs can feel heavy, there's low energy, and a tendency to want to sleep more. There may also be carbohydrate cravings and weight gain.
When those symptoms start to become more prominent, they start to cause problems in day-to-day living, then that's when we look at a difference between just having winter blues versus actually being a problem of clinical concern.
Sawchuk says focusing on lifestyle factors can help maintain a regular sleep schedule instead of being tempted to oversleep. Exercise can also help improve mood and health overall, and he says to stay connected.
Making sure that we're avoiding the avoidance and avoiding the withdrawal, making plans, being accountable with others and healthy supports can be really helpful.
Light therapy can also help. Sawchuk says using a light box for about 20 to 30 minutes when you wake up can provide symptom relief. Cognitive behavioral therapy can also help, and there's always medicine.
The medications that we typically use in the treatment of non-seasonal depression, they can actually be very helpful here as well too.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Dr. Sawchuk says it's rare, but there's also a reverse pattern for seasonal affective disorder. where the fall and winter months actually improve the person's mood, and they feel more depressed in the spring and summer. He says that symptoms are more like a typical depressive episode, where a person has trouble sleeping rather than wanting to sleep all the time. Thank you for tuning into this Nebraska Nightly Update. You can follow Nebraska Nightly on Instagram and Twitter at Nebraska Nightly. Be sure to tune in Friday for our live show at 4:30 p.m. and keep up with our high school basketball media days tomorrow and Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Have a good evening.
Nebraska Nightly is a production of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln's College of Journalism and Mass Communications.